Welcome to Survive and Thrive. As always, I'm Nathan Hurd, Chief Growth Officer with the Oxford Club. And, in 2017, there was a study conducted in adult populations across 14 countries. It was a series of ABC multiple choice questions. Simple questions like, where does the majority of the world population live? In the last 20 years, the percentage of the world population in extreme poverty has done what? And there were three choices. What is the average life expectancy of the world population? What percentage of the world's children have been vaccinated against some disease? What percentage in the world have access to electricity? And the UN predicts by 2100, the year 2100, the world population will have increased by another 4 billion people. What is the primary reason? These questions are not overly complicated. Now, in addition to the adult sample size that took this survey, they also posed these questions to chimpanzees. Now, chimps, when asked questions like this, they can only really guess, which meant that about a third of them got the correct answer by chance. Now, in the human study, which included adults across every level of education, including many of the most highly educated segments of society, 80% were less accurate than the chimps. 80%. Now, you may use or have used or hear phrases like, they're just stuck in their ways. Or, I've always done things that way. Or, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Back in my day. The same as it ever was. Or, history repeats itself. Now, while it's true that we can learn an incredible amount from history, absolutely, it's also true that the world has never stopped changing. And today, the changes are coming faster and faster than they ever did before. Wishing things would stop changing or having inaccurate information about the real progress of humanity creates much of our suffering. In the automobile industry, when mistakes happen and they're discovered, they do a recall, don't they? You'll get a letter that says, come on in. We regret to inform you there was a part, but we're happy to replace it. Just drop your car off and so on and so forth, right? What about with our knowledge? What if we were taught information at any stage that is now out of date? Wouldn't it be nice if we got a letter just the same that said, sorry, what we taught you is no longer valid. Please return your brain for an upgrade. But that doesn't happen, does it? For example, the US is by far and away the wealthiest and most prosperous country in the world. But the greatest growth and development in the next 25 to 50 years will be in other parts of the world. Just as in investing, a massive large cap company is less likely to see huge multiples of return the same as a micro or small or even mid-cap company will. The same is true with wealth around the world. It's far more likely that we'll see the most significant improvements in wealth in countries like India, Africa, and South America and continents. Why? Because there's so much more to improve. And frankly, the populations are much, much larger. Does this have implications for how big the gap is between the US and the rest of the world? Yes, that gap is going to shrink. Is this a bad thing? No. I would argue absolutely no. Think of all the negative consequences that come from extreme poverty and the depression, lack of education, and lack of healthcare that tend to go along with it. There's crime, disease, lack of skills, basic skills, and opportunity. Extreme militant groups even. Many of the targets for recruitment in some of the most extreme groups around the world come from the poorest backgrounds. They're the most impressionable, and they have the fewest alternatives, frankly. All of this improves as populations become more prosperous. So what's the point here? The greatest quality that you can nurture in this regard is curiosity. Being open to new information and actively seeking it out, and embracing facts that don't fit your worldview currently, and trying to understand their implications. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes rather than condemning them for a different view. A word of warning. If you're looking to mainstream media or social media to help cultivate a worldview, you must understand something. They are all for-profit businesses, and the product they sell is you. The number one goal of all of these companies is to shock you, is to startle you, to capture your attention as long as possible so that they can get advertising revenue. It doesn't mean that they're evil. Most of these people are good people, but their goal, their objective, and their model for profit comes at your expense. So don't ever forget that. Read books. Immerse yourself in what you don't understand. Search for data and facts, not just opinion. But most importantly, cultivate a fact-based worldview and the ability to hold two ideas at the same time. There are bad things going on in this world, but many things are getting much, much better. I hope this little tidbit has been helpful today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit the link below and send me a message. And until next time, be well. This has been Survive and Thrive.